Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Conversations with Asiya, or welcome to another episode of Conversations with Asiya. I am your host, Asiya Nasir Shaheed, and I am here to bring this episode of Conversations with Asiya, where we empower women of our communities and the ones that they are raising. This is a very special Conversations with Asiya, though, because this is the first series that we're launching of the Where Are They Now? And these are actual students of the Jessica Cares Academy. They've either taken one of our courses, and in this particular course, these are two beautiful women who took the Author's Masterclass. And the Author's Masterclass is where we teach the women and the young girls how to publish, how to self-publish their own book, their literary work that is from the heart that they want to bring to the world, and how they can actually make that happen. And so each of these women participated in the Author's Masterclass. They are entrepreneurs in their own right. However, when they took the Author's Masterclass, this was an opportunity for them to put out some of their literary work, and I am so excited to see from where they started in that particular journey to where they are now. And anytime we have an empowerment platform, people always want to see where are they now? What are they doing now? We see where they started, they see what they began, but they never get to see the end product. So this is a very special Where Are They Now launch of our new series. And so you'll see this periodically about every 3 months. We're going to post and we're going to put on a show for you to be able to see previous students, where are they now, and what are they doing. So this is the very first, this is a premiere, and I am so proud to introduce the two queens that I have on the show today. So to get this started, I'm going to introduce the first person that we have, and her name is Nafisa Muhammad. Nafisa Muhammad was actually in our very first Authors Masterclass. It was in August of 2019. And so she took that journey with me. We launched the Authors Masterclass, and she signed right up. So I would like to introduce you to Nafisa Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Nafisa. And now we have Monica. Monica Grant is another student, a powerhouse of an entrepreneur. I'm not even going to speak an introduction to each of them. I'm going to let them do their own introduction. But Monica is a powerhouse of an entrepreneur. She actually she was an existing author when she came to the Authors Masterclass 3 under her belt before she came to the Authors Masterclass. So she was already an author. However, this particular journey was a little different for her. And so we're going to allow her to speak on that. And without further ado, I would like to introduce everyone to Monica Grant, CEO of Young Boss Media.
Hey, what's up?
So welcome, ladies. So, what I would love for you to do right now, before we get into your journey, before we get into your inspirational stories, I would love for you to each introduce yourself to the audience, so that way they can get a little bit of background, know who you are, what you currently do. And so, I would like to start with Nafisa. Nafisa, if you could introduce yourself to the audience, that'd be great.
Well, my name is Nafisa Muhammad. I am a mother of seven. I am also an educator. I presently am teaching first grade. And but my passion, of course, is children. And part of that passion is writing children's books. So pretty much that's it. Of course, I'm a Muslim, as you can see. And I just look forward to everybody reading my books.
Okay, great. So this is a great opportunity for those who have children, for those who have grandchildren. She actually wrote a children's book. And so we'll be talking more about that book, what inspired the book, and what it's all about. So now I would love for Monica to introduce herself to the audience. Monica, what's going on, girl?
What's going on, family? First of all, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate your platform and just helping to share the message that you're sharing and that you've been working so hard for the past 10, 11 years. So I thank you for having me on. Monica Sekhmet Grant, CEO of Young Boss Media, Young Boss Media Activist Institute, and many other organizations that I'm a part of. My goal is to uplift humanity, particularly starting with my people first, and books and literature is a part of it. You know, when I was coming up, I read about all the greats, the boys, the Booker T. Washingtons, the Garveys, and I was able to learn from them through books. And so that's why I write. And I'm so grateful for your class because it helped, you know, me get back into the zone of where I needed to be to leave something behind for the next generation.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, without further ado, I would love to just get right into your stories. I found each of you two different generations. However, both of you have done some remarkable things in your life and in this journey of stepping outside your comfort zones. Taking what may have seemed to be a negative in your life or negative in around the world and making it something really positive. So, I really want to talk to Nafisa right now. Nafisa, when we met, you were at a different space. You were at a different space. We actually met going to a play in Baltimore. We was
Right.
on a bus tour, kind of like Get on the Bus movie. We was on this bus and we met each other, and
Yeah.
we was eating our healthy food, and we got to talking, and you were really in a different space, and I would love for you to speak on that space and where you were and how you and I got together to get to where you were, where you took the author's masterclass.
Yeah. I like to say I was in I think years ago I might have said I was in a dark place, but I'm gonna say I was in a cloudy space. Is that my child? That's how may I help
Now this is live, y'all. We live.
you? And I would say it was a cloudy space. And so I, on the bus, and everybody's talking about Asiya, and I didn't know who Asiya was, so I'm paying attention to the people, and I'm like, oh well, she's talking to people. I like her. Let me go over here and talk to her. She's talking about eating vegan food. Yeah, I want to go eat where she eats. So, like a little girl following her mommy, I would start talking to Asia, and I wanted to know, well, where are you going to eat at? She said, well, I'm going to eat over here. I'm like, well, I'm going over there too. So I wanted to talk to her because you know what, when you have a need for something and you see that there might be somebody that could fulfill that need or help you with that problem, you gravitate toward them. And that's what I did. I gravitated toward Asia. She was very sensitive to what I was going through. To me, she felt like she picked it up without me really even telling her. She could sense it. And thereafter, I came to her workshop. And at her workshop, everybody was writing down the different things that they do and have done. And I happened to mention I wrote a book. So she said, you wrote a book? And I was like, yeah. And so she's like, oh, you unpublished that book. And I thought to myself, yeah, right. Sure. So one day I looked and I saw that she was advertising, and I was like, oh my God, I really do. I really am gonna have to publish this book. I have to get it together. So even though I was at the time in her workshop and we were doing it, I really didn't believe that I was going to do it. I just didn't have enough courage in myself, enough faith in myself that I probably could possibly do it. But she did. She insisted that I was going to publish it. I was going to be at her program, and by Allah's permission, it came about, and I was there. But she was that powerhouse behind, pushing me, pushing me, pushing me, pushing me. Even if I didn't want it to be pushed, it didn't matter. She was pushing me anyway. You're gonna do it. That was her exact words. You're gonna publish it. And I'm like, here I am. All these years have gone by, and I'm gonna publish it. It was 1980 something, and here we are in the year 2019, and I'm gonna publish it. So alhamdulillah, I did. And that's pretty much how we got going, how we met, and how I end up being, a very good friend of hers. Alhamdulillah, Asiya.
I want you to reiterate, Nafisa, what you just said. When I met you, and you said you wrote a book, um, I had asked you if it was, did you publish it? And you was like, no, it's just, something that I got tucked away. And then I asked you, I said, well, when did you write it? I want you to repeat, if anyone missed what you just said, when did you actually write that book?
I wrote the book in the 80s, the early 80s. My daughter was born in 85. Got a little timeline. 80. She actually was born in 87, but I had wrote the book before she was born. And as time progressed, I eventually used the book because, as you'll hear later on in the story, I had constantly been rejected on actually getting it published. So I was like, oh well, we'll just do it I'll just do it with my kindergarten babies or my pre-K babies. But it was in the 80s, and it set in the 80s, and it set in the 90s, and it set in the 2020, and it was 2019 that I published a book. And I'll never forget the sister. Her name is Amina Sabri, if she's listening. It was early 80s. When I first showed her the book, she said, if you don't publish that book, I'm going to publish it. I cannot wait to go to Georgia and knock on her door and present the book to her. That's what I really want to do, and say, here it is. You don't have to copy it. Yeah, but it was the 80s. Long, 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 long time ago.
Yeah, that's a long time. And I wanted to get back to that because I think that's what's so inspirational about your story. And I think it's something that many can relate to. And we have children, we have marriages, and we get married, and sometimes we lose those goals that we initially had before we had our children, and all of that. So I want to get back to that story of the journey of how long it actually took from actually writing it in the 80s and almost 2 decades, well, actually 2 decades later, actually
Yeah.
publishing the book. So we're going to get back to that. So now I want to get to Monica. Monica, your story is a little bit different because when you came and took the author's masterclass, you had already written 3 books, published 3 books, and your work was out there. So I would love for you to tell your story of, writing your books previously, and what was your journey and what was different about when you took the author's masterclass and how we met, because you're very special to me, because you're special to someone who I know, and we got to know each other. So tell everyone how we met, your journey of writing 3 books, and what was the difference this time in taking the author's masterclass.
For sure. So my first book, Poems for My People and Me, is a poetry book, and it's a compilation of poems that I've written probably since the age of 10. I think my first poem was initiated because two of my best friends were like, "We're gonna start a rap group," and I was like, "All right, bet." And so I wrote down my lyrics, and then I looked at theirs, and I was like, "Nah, mine's better. Let me just keep writing because they can't be in my rap group." And
Hey, let
so
them bringing me down.
like, no, 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 no. I got bars, boo. Nah. I'm gonna go solo. I'm gonna be Beyonce.
I hear you.
I
and,
know
and
that's right.
and so that's literally like the genesis of my writing career is them prompting me and saying, "Hey, let's start a rap group." Excuse me. I'm in Harlem. Um, and then I just started writing just as a way to like relieve stress, to like really articulate my pain, because like most kids, we grow up alone, feeling lonely, not really having the bonds that we probably should have as a community. And so I took to writing as just a way to deal with issues, deal with my pops not being in the home, dealing with my mom always working, dealing with just all the stresses of just being a teenager. And
Right.
I would say like my first book took a while too, though, because even though I started writing in my teenage years, I didn't release it until maybe I was like 25. And I got to a point where it's like I'm sitting on all this content, and I'm thinking about doing something with it. I'm thinking about it, right? And a good friend of mine, I was in Georgia. He was probably high and drunk at the same time, but he said something that was really like potent that I took from it. And he was like, "Ain't no secrets when we die. What you holding on to it for?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh yeah,
Mm.
that's real. That's real." And I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't know what happens on the other side, but it hit me because, like, all this time, like, we're scared to be vulnerable. We're scared to be open and free. And it really hit me. It's like, all right, so what if you go today and like none of this, or all this comes out about you, and you don't have a way to control it, or you don't have a way to bless people with the work that you're doing. You're just so scared of the world. So that really triggered me to really get on to like releasing the information. Now, this still took another maybe 2 or 3 years to get it out because I was living in Georgia when he told me that. Then I moved to New York. When I moved to New York with $200 in my pocket. I was sleeping on couch to couch. And the moment that I got like a job that could pay some bills, I said, I'm releasing this book. I'm putting all my money, I'm investing in myself, and I'm releasing this book. And I was a community organizer, and people did not understand why I felt that I needed to release a book. Why does she need to release a book? You know, so I dealt with all that, and in 2012, I released Poems for My People and Me, and the book is titled. It's based off of Nina Simone, Mississippi GD, because she says I need freedom for my people and me, and so I took that and put Poems for My People and Me, and on the cover is I got this artist, his name's Raul, to draw out a painting of Goree Island, and that's the door of no return in Senegal. That's where Africans walked through and never came back. They walked out with chains and never came back. And so it's a very potent book. And it's on Amazon right now. It's called Poems for My People and Me. And it was really just my conversation with myself, you know. And when I released it, it really felt like I was releasing weight, releasing energy, releasing baggage. And so from there, I felt free. And then I moved on my life. You know, I promoted it. I started like going to like different markets, different book clubs, and promoting it. But the biggest thing for me is that I didn't become like a spoken word artist. You know, I became like a businesswoman. You know, that was my real introduction into like the solo entrepreneur, because I had always kind of been a hustler, but this was me. This was my product. You know, and at the same time I was doing music, I had a mixtape, and so things like that, it just kind of it started to just build. So I was an organizer. I was like, oh, Black people need to know how to organize. So my second book was How to Organize Your Block, and it's a template for like if you have an issue in your community, it'll teach you how to organize a community around one issue. You know, because what you see out here, all this rioting and stuff, that's not organizing. That's just people being angry. Organizing actually has to build an organization. And so How to Organize Your Block will actually teach you how to build an organization that addresses issues. And then my third book is Rules for a Young Boss. And I think that was the predecessor for Mind Your Business and Prosper, where we are now. It was an inspirational book, but it didn't have all of the meat and all of the context of building Young Boss Media that Mind Your Business and Prosper has. And so I knew that it's like I wanted to make something that was inspirational to young people. But even at that time, I was just a little premature. And so now with Mind Your Business and Prosper and how me and you met, we met through your daughter, your amazing daughter, Jasmine. And she was a student of mine at the Young Boss Media Activist Institute. You know, she came on board, became a producer of a show, Bayou's Corner. We still waiting for season 2, Jasmine. Come through. I'm talking to you. It's an amazing program. Your daughter's brilliant. And I met you. You came to the set of my talk show when we were filming my talk show, Masterclass season 4. And you know, and I'm grateful to see how you took the horn with it and you started producing Conversation with Asiya at the studio. And just seeing your work ethic, and also seeing you through Jasmine, I knew that I could trust you. You know, because like even before I met you, she would tell me, it's like, my mom's an entrepreneur. I'm like, oh, we need to talk. You know, like, I've been saying that. Me and her need to talk. And so once we finally met, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a right fit. Like, this is my sister. And I had seen you doing just different projects and things like that. And then once Corona hit, me and you had a conversation like that week. I remember like that week we talked. It was like, this ain't about us now. We good. We about to prosper during this thing. And so it's like, I knew that I put you on the side of, this is my sister for life. Because a lot of people, you know, during Corona were like, this is terrible. I need to get back to work. And I put them in another category. I said, I can't call you for another year. Mm-mm. But the people that know that this is time to run it up, I'll put them in another category. So that's where you at. You in that category. You the one that's like, all right, whatever she's doing, I'm with it. You got to skim fat. You got to skim the fat during times like this, because not everybody is prepared and ready. And so I had saw what you were doing with different programs, and with the authorship masterclass, I was like, all right, cool. I do have a book inside of me, and I knew that I wanted to release another book. I kind of had an idea of something. I kind of had some things written down, but it wasn't until I took your class step by step that I was really able to flush out who the book is for, what is it for, what who am I trying to reach, who's my target audience. Um, Even the book title, Mind Your Business and Prosper, didn't come about until the class, you know. And I'm good with names, but it was like it didn't come until I sat down in your class and was really inspired by all the things that, you know, all the meat that you were putting on the bone. The color scheme of the book, it's a yellow book, it's a yellow cover. My picture didn't come about until I took the class. So this is really flip it. Yeah, there you go. This is really a product of the masterclass, because prior to the masterclass, I think it would have been a different book. I think it would have been even in my mind. It probably would have been like a blue cover. It would have been more professional. But like that's not my audience. My audience is like, you know, somebody that needs the sun. You know, that's why I have it like that. It's like boom, you need, you know, a burst of light. You know, I'm gonna give you that burst of light. And so I released it. So we went to the masterclass during Ramadan. And so, you know, and that's a very important time. Even though I'm not Muslim, I still practice Ramadan. Fasting is very important. And to come out of Ramadan, it's like, all right, so I want to do the pre-launch. Because you taught me how to do the pre-launch. I did the pre-launch on Juneteenth because that's our holiday. It's the African American holiday. So I said I want to use that energy, come out on June 19th, and then I'm gonna release it for global release on Marcus Garvey's birthday on August 17th. So I play around with the numbers, the dates, and everything. And so that gave me 9 weeks to finish the book. And so in those 9 weeks, I busted my booty to get everything done and out. And yeah, it was really working against the clock. And I work well that way too, like working against deadlines. So it worked out. The book is released. Everybody has their copy. You can get it on Amazon. You can still order it for to get it signed and sent to you. And I learned a lot, all of this through the masterclass. I would not be here talking about a book if it was not for the masterclass.
Wow, wow, what a beautiful journey. Like each of you have such a different journey. And like I mentioned, these are two separate generations, two different generations, and yet still feeling inspired that their life and what the lessons that they've learned, the gems that they've picked up along the way, that this required them to leave this behind for others to be able to pick up on that. So you mentioned something, Monica, about launching and kind of like working under the gun. So going back to Nafisa, when we wrote the book, you were still kind of like that, not in your comfort zone. And I want you to show everyone your book, because I showed Monica's book, which is beautiful cover. Mind Your Business and Prosper, right there. So I want you, Nafisa, to show your book. It's a children's book. So two different generations. You know, Monica writing to the youth, and she's writing to the babies. So you wrote your book, but when we finished our 6-week master class, you still was kind of like, you know, not trying, you know, stepping outside your comfort zone was really uncomfortable. So I challenged you with something. We had our Jessica Cares sister retreat coming up. So this was women, girls. It was a weekend retreat. And I challenged you with something, and you met that challenge. What was that challenge, and how did that work out for you as far as your launch of your book?
Well, I'm not exactly sure if you're talking about the same challenge I'm talking about, but the actual challenge was stepping up to the plate, because I had the book and I had not put it together yet. It was just papers. I had put together pictures, and I even had handwritten drawings. And so I had to get out there, get an illustrator, illustrate those pages, get them into the format, send it off to Amazon, get it put together, get the books, have it ready for the actual program. And it was a push. It was a push. I really didn't believe that I can do it, but I asked Asiya, she believed in me. And of course, I had some friends along the way. I got my little timeline. I can tell you all about that in a minute. But for me, the challenge was getting that book ready for that deadline, for that November deadline, from just papers written to just getting it done. And you know, I'm thankful that I did do it, because it gave me the opportunity to share with other people and to let them know, listen, whatever you got tucked away, no matter how old you are, because like she said, it's several decades. I have had 7 children in those during that time. I got my 80s crew and I got my 90s crew. And in between all of that time, I always wanted to publish the book, but I always had that rejection. And Asiya came in and she's like, I believe in you. Let's go. And that's what we did, you know. So I'm not exactly sure if that's the challenge you're referring to, but getting it done by August. It was August, and we had the retreat in November, was it? Was it
That's
November?
right, November.
So from August
Yep.
to November, I had to get it done. The book was, like I said, the book was already ready, but it was in paper format, just things that I had threw together. And it made sense, but the colors, I didn't like the colors. I had used something called Paintworks. That was back in the 80s, I think it was. Most people don't know what it was, where you just, if you wanted to paint or color something, you would use an app called Paintworks. I don't even think we called it app back then. It was called Paintworks. And I was like, oh no, this can't work. Not today. It's just too old fashioned.
Right.
So it would have worked back in the 80s, but no, not today. So yeah, pretty much that was it. Getting it done within a short period of time.
Right. And it turned out so beautiful because it was at the empowerment retreat, and that was all about what the retreat was. Is empowerment is about stepping outside your comfort zones. It's about, stepping into your greatness, tapping into what's within. And here you come, Nafisa, written a book 20 something years ago, and here at the retreat was your book launch. It was your book signing, and we actually had the whole book signing. One of the workshops was your actual book signing. So you had the audience already. I told you, I said, you have a ready made audience. I just need the book.
Yeah,
We just need the book. Just get the book out there. And I was
yeah.
like, you have a ready made audience. We have women that's going to be there. We got teens that's going to be there. All of these women got little babies that they were getting away from for the weekend. What could they bring home from the weekend? And you brought your book. And here is what I want to talk about. When we had the conversation, the Q&A, and allowing the women to ask you questions and hearing your journey of writing the book, what did that do for the women who were listening? Because we did a survey after that, and I'll share the survey with you afterwards. But what was your experience when you actually shared what you was feeling most insecure about at one point?
I think what it did for a lot of people outside of myself is it gave them hope. It gave them hope that they, no matter what they started, that they could do it. You know, to go back and reignite whatever that was, because that's what it was for me. It was like I love this book. I would share it with my students, my daughters. In 1992, I think it was, or 90, yeah, I think it was 92, somewhere around. Well, she was 4. She was 4 years old, so it was about 1992. I did it as a play, and then a couple of years later, in like 1998, 97, I did it at another school as a play because it was just that special to me. I didn't just want it to die, but I knew that, these people had said, no, you can't do it. No, that's a class. I'm doing classic. I can't help you. Went to a sister's retreat. Her sister wrote a book. I asked her, can you help me? No, I can't help you. All of that. No, 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 no. That negativity, people knocking you down, and you feeling like you can't accomplish it. This book to me gave me hope, and it gave a lot of people hope. Some of the sisters in the audience, they were like, yeah, I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna do my thing. So I think that when you see someone come up out of a rut and you see that they can do it, you begin to believe in yourself too. Well, maybe I can do it too. And hopefully, they're doing it.
Absolutely, and I think both of you do that. When you wrote your book and actually launched it at the women's and the girls empowerment retreat, that was like giving permission for women to be like, "What am I holding on to?" As Monica said, "Why am I holding on to my secrets? I got some gems I need to get out there." And for Monica, for you, when you wrote the book, it took you to doing something else, a whole nother project that you named after the book. Tell the audience about that.
Right. So yeah, so the book turned into the Mind Your Business and Prosper conference, which is now its own brand. And the idea came about after a conversation on one of the shows that I produced. And the idea was like, hey, we should do programs where we teach people. And it's like, well, how about we do a conference? Because I knew, like, in my mind, I knew that 2020, even like 4-5 years ago, I knew, like, all right, 2020, I want to do a conference. I actually wanted it to be like a yacht conference.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are during Corona. And so there's milestones that I have. There's milestones that I have that it was like, well, these things can still be executed. And so, earlier in the year, before Corona, I was planning the mental health summit. So I knew that this year I was going to execute some type of summit, conference, something. And so once the book was, I don't even know if it was released yet. I think I was still promoting it. Once I heard one person say, "Oh, we should do something, something," I said, "Bing, let's do a conference. Let me call it the Mind Your Business and Prosper Conference." Da, 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 da. And so just bringing like old ideas back to the forefront. And I already knew all the people that needed to be a part of it, and just started to organize around that. But Mind Your Business and Prosper is a brand. It's a brand now. And so what we want to do is take it into, doing a mentorship series where we can like go to different colleges, whether it's virtually or on campus, and have these conversations with the youth, and understand the youth. Underneath the United Nations banner, youth is considered anybody under the age of 35. So
Wow.
so I'm still youth, right? And so like speaking to the youth.
I guess I need to get my AARP card.
Not yet, Asiya.
Because I'm not 35. That just made me feel real old.
but now that just means you just missed the cut. That just means you missed the cut.
You're not ready for AARP.
That's right.
You don't have mine yet, so you're not ready for it.
Yeah, but also, we're supposed to be living a long time though, so like
That's right.
right. So when I speak to youth, it's like when I say the word youth, it's like anybody, the millennials, college student, high school students, people that need inspiration, people that are looking to just define themselves. Like, I think throughout this period, everybody's trying to find themselves, trying to find out how to identify where they fit in. Do they want to work a job, or do they want to start a business? And what does all this mean? And so there's a huge space for it. And we see it. We see, how all these entrepreneurial programs are emerging now. But I've been beating this drum for, a decade, a long time. And so I love seeing it, right? And so what I want to do is focus on the people that are unsure of themselves, because it's a lot going on. Everybody, we're bombarded by images of celebrities. And my goal is not to make you a celebrity. I don't care about that. I want you just to love yourself. And so Mind Your Business and Prosper is just that, like literally mind your business. You are your business. Focus on yourself, focus on your family, focus on loving who you are, who God made you to be, and you shall prosper.
I like that.
Right. Yes. So I'm loving this. So I would love for the audience, as we're looking to wrap up soon, I want the audience to know exactly, because that was part of the author's masterclass, is who's your target audience, what was your book about, and your why. So Nafisa, we'll start with you. What's your book about? Who's your audience for? And what inspired you to finally get your book done? Aside from me pushing you, what was your why? What was your why for writing? Because you wrote the book way before we met each other. I was a little kid when you wrote this book. So you had a why that you wrote that book. So I would love for you to show your book, where they, what was your why in writing the book, and who's your audience? Who is it for?
Well, my audience, when I first wrote the book, I thought the audience was just the kindergarten children. But then as I began to think more and more and learning in the masterclass, I realized that it just wasn't for little kindergarten children. It was for the grandma. It was for the grandpa. It was for the sibling to read to its brother or its sister. It was for the babysitter to read to the children to keep them occupied. And it was for the teacher to use as a educational tool. She can use it for science. And ultimately, my ultimate goal was that this book would benefit me when I leave this physical earth, that it would be what we call Sadaqah Jariyah, that this book would kind of give me what you call, I'll say, like money in the bank, rewards, and hopefully get me to paradise. So this book is one of the first of the many to come, hopefully. And like I said, I'm hoping that, like we believe that there are certain things in your life that will help you get to paradise. And even though I have 7 children, my thing is, because I have 7 children, don't mean those 7 children gonna pray for me when I'm dead and gone or do anything that's beneficial.
We
So
pray for that. Pray for that.
we will pray for that. But in my head, I'm like, what can I do to benefit myself while I'm in my grave? Because Sadaqah Jariyah is something that will last till the end of time. And so I'm hoping that this will be one of those. I'm also hoping that this will help the children understand, all of these things in creation obey Allah. The wind, what does the wind do? It blows. It does nothing else but it blows. When it's commanded to blow, it blows. The sun rises and sets. Everything in creation does what it's supposed to do. But man, like I love telling the kids the fish swim in the sea, and I just love going through the whole motions. I'm dramatic, and but man is the only
Now,
one
what's
that.
the title? What's the title of your book?
The title is All Things in Creation. So I want, if you guys call me in, and I will come to your schools, and I will come to your programs. If you call me in, I'll read it to you, read it to the children, and I'll explain to them in a very dramatic way, because I was a theater major at Rutgers University, Mason Grove School of the Arts. I will come and do it like a play, and they really would enjoy it. But it's just really to get them to see that, look at the tree. The tree, it falls, the leaves fall. Every year it grows and comes in the fall. It's a job. Everything in creation has a job, and it does it. And man is the only one. We have a job. We don't do it. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But I figured if I can get the little people in the early stages, then maybe, just maybe, they will be better off than a lot of us are today. So that's it. All Things in Creation. It can be found on Amazon. There's also a number. I can give you the number. There's also 520 Main Street, East Orange, New Jersey. It's a store called Becca. He actually has 3 stores. He has the book as well. And 973-957. Oh, I'm sorry. 973-951-3711 is the gentleman that also has the book. And I too have the book, and you can, find me on Instagram, Facebook. My daughters, they put those together for me. and as time progressed, I am going to get a website. I have a parent of a student who said that she's going to put together a website for me. So that's great, because I'm like, well, don't I have a website? I have Instagram. She's like, no, Nafisa, that's not a website. So she's going to put a website for me. This is what happens when you are over 60. That's what I'm going to blame it on.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Monica, I want them to hear who you wrote this book for, because it was a specific audience that you wrote it for. I know your why. I think your why is just as inspirational. And I would love to hear, I would love for them to hear who this book was for, what the book was about, and what was your why behind writing it for them.
I think so. My background is in community organizing, right? And so I've traveled across this entire country. I've knocked on doors. I speak to all different races, different identities. And at the end of the day, people just want to take care of themselves and their family. And there's a lot of low self-esteem that wreaks havoc on this country and just this world in general. And media plays a huge role in that. Media plays a huge role in making people feel obese, broke, poor, unhappy, not good enough, unfit, unhealthy, stressed out, anxious, worrisome, right? And even my media as a company focuses on, like, the millennial, but it stretches down to, like, the high school student, the urban person, somebody that grew up listening to hip hop, because that's the vibe, that's the energy. And so Mind Your Business and Prosper focuses on the young person within that group. So the person that doesn't have the good job, because even like my TV show can, I can reach, the person that has a good job, the stockbroker, the person that wants to know about, just different business opportunities. The book more focuses on the young person that isn't there yet, that it just isn't sure of themselves just yet. And they're making a lot of mistakes. And because I focus on all my mistakes, I can't put all my mistakes in the book. I'm still making mistakes. But I focus on, like, a lot of the big ones, so that they can have somebody to identify with. Because when I was coming up, I didn't have that book of mistakes to say, oh, you still made it. Wow, you did all this dumbness and you still made it. Wow. We have the books of the successes, right? And if you feel
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm not hitting these milestones, then I'm not good enough. I want to create a book that's like, no, like I'm successful, one, because I say I'm successful. I don't need nobody else's barometer. I say I'm successful. But then also, like, my mother loves me, my father loves me, my family loves me. I'm a leader in my family. That makes me successful first. No other barometer. And so really like reanalyzing how we view success, and also the path to success. The path to success is filled with a lot of mistakes, a lot of lessons that you had to learn failing forward. And I wanted to show that. And so maybe down the line it'd be like, oh, Monica, why'd you sell this? Why'd you put out so much? But it's just like I also, and I feel the same way about my first book. Like I needed to like release a lot of just dead weight and just be like, yo, this is me, this is who I am, this is who I was, this is how I got here. I'm not holding anything back, no cap, right? Um, and so it's for that person that's like just really just going through it, is like, just low self-esteem, trying to find their identity, trying to figure out what their business is going to be in. There's one chapter that talks about being of service and actually volunteering for a community organization. And the reason why I say that is because if you volunteer for a community organization that needs support, that community organization will teach you so much about planning, hiring, leading, that you're not going to get if you're working at a Foot Locker, if you're working at the mall, right? But if you actually go to a community organization and volunteer with them, they will give you so much information about an organization and what that organization needs. So maybe you can become the website designer for these type of organizations, or you can become a manager, or you can develop some type of app that services this type of organization. You can create a business that already has its niche, that already has its clients, that already has its contacts right here in your community, where you don't have to leave and go somewhere else to find your business idea or to make a successful business, right? So game like that, right? I had to learn that the hard way. And that's not always sexy, but it also, I'm not telling you you have to go pay for a $40,000 education either. I'm telling you to go find out what's needed in your community and build right there. That's what Booker T. Washington said. Cash your bucket right here and build right here, right? And so it's for that person that just doesn't know what to do, and hopefully it helps them. My why, I kind of feel like Sister Nafisa. Life is short. No matter how old we get in this body, life is short. And I just want to make sure that, when it's all said and done, I paid enough forward. I did enough to clear my karmic debt. And that's honestly why I do it. I can't do it for man. I can't do it for the likes or the views. I have to do it for God. And so, that's really, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm good on the other side, really. And so as much as the more work that I have to do, I'll just do it. And that's what really keeps me going. That's my motivation for everything, for all of my humanitarian work. It's just like, I just got to make it to the other side. I need to be straight.
Yes.
That's it. I'm loving it. I love it. And this is the thing that I always say is when you step outside of your comfort zone, when you actually face your fear and actually, go full fledged. I don't care if you got to go through it, go around it, go under it, whatever you got to do to get to the other side of that fear. That is where you find that you are the most impactful for those around you. That's where you find you're the most, inspirational and motivational to the people around you, because you become the way shower. You become the way shower, and empowerment comes in different forms, whether that's being an educator, whether that's being an entrepreneur, whether that's being a motivational speaker, a mentor, writing a book. In the context of what we're talking about, even writing a book, there are people that are going to be blessed when you write a book that you may never speak to, may never even meet. But because of the work that you was willing to be courageous enough to push out there and put out there, it's just beautiful that there are people that are benefiting from it, from your books. And we pray that the work that you do will be accepted, and get you, and speak for you, be a testimony for you, in the next life. So absolutely, I make dua. Dua is prayer. Make that prayer for each of you, because what you're doing is just beautiful work. So I just want each of you to just leave. You mentioned that everybody can find you on Instagram. Nafisa, they can find you under what's the name of your book again? Because I know you have a page under your the name of your book.
Yes,
All things in creation.
but not all. It's just things in creation. When you go on Instagram, things in creation. I took out the all, just things in creation, and
Okay.
also Facebook. But I'm gonna I'm gonna get that website hopefully soon. But things in
Okay.
creation, and
Great. So they can find you on
also,
Instagram.
yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes. I was saying yes, things in creation on Instagram and things in creation on Facebook.
Perfect, wonderful. So they can find you if you have a children's book, if you want to do a children's book club, if you want to have a book reading play date and have just a few kids together,
Yes,
Sister
yes.
Nafisa can come and she can actually do something very impactful for the young ones. Monica, tell them where they can find you. Tell them about your institute, your mentorship program. Tell them about that.
See the babies. You gotta have that on live tape.
You know what I'm saying? Gotta have lights flashing saying
Yeah,
hello.
we live, boo. You can't walk through. Yes, Young Boss Media. So first of all, you can find all things Young Boss Media at youngbossmedia.com. We are a global international media network that focus on just making a social impact locally and then globally. Um, and we do that through media by training people from the community how to produce their own content. So I have my own show, but then also other people on the brand have their own shows, and the purpose of each program is to uplift their own community. So if you are interested in becoming a producer on Young Boss Media, reach out, info@youngboss.tv, send us the email, or go to youngbossmedia.com to see what we're about. As long as you have internet access and a device that will allow you to record, you can get on no matter where you are in the world. English is our primary language, but we are moving into other languages. So if you are bilingual, hit me up for sure, because we definitely need some translators and interpreters. Um, and that's all at youngbossmedia.com. If you want to check out the nonprofit, there's youngbossinstitute.org, where you can learn more, particularly about our high school programs. We are in the high schools in New York City, and since we're virtual, I would love to be in more schools throughout the country and throughout the world. The goal is just to, inspire the young bosses all across the planet. I definitely saw this time period coming where, our people would have to be more self-sufficient. Marcus Garvey talked about self-reliance. That's just the mission of our people. And so that's where we are now. And so I want to utilize media to help promote that through Young Boss Media. So youngbossmedia.com, Young Boss Media, Young Boss Media. I can't say it enough. You can find us on Instagram, youngboss.tv, Facebook, LinkedIn, Young Boss Media. For the book, Mind Your Business and Prosper, there is a special Facebook page for Mind Your Business and Prosper. It's called Mind Your Business and Prosper on Facebook. And you can also look at the conference on that page as well. So I'm not hard to find. Remember, Michael Seckman Grant, Young Boss Media, I'm there. My people are there. I see it going to pop up. Like, we're not hard to find. So holla at us.
No.
I made a mistake.
Yes.
I just grabbed my phone. Let me say, and I found it is all things in creation on Instagram.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is. Can you see it?
Yep, we can see it. All things
Okay.
in creation. So we gotta get the people following you. We gotta get them to get engaged with the work that you guys are doing. If you could leave one last inspirational thing that you would like to say, Nafisa, to women who have things that they're holding on to, feeling like maybe it's not worth, putting out there, or they're feeling insecure about putting work out there, or maybe, as you said, are in the cloudy space. What would you like to say to them?
I think I would ask them to ask this question of themselves. If there was something that you regretted in life that you never did, what is it? And when you come to the conclusion of what it is, go and do it. Go and do it before it's too late. Because when it's all said and done, you're laying in that hospital bed, all of those things are going to come to your head. I wish I had I'm so sorry. I hate that I didn't. All of those regrets that you have, you're gonna wish that you had the opportunity to do it. And the fact that your eyes are open and you are still alive, it's time. It's time to go and do it. I tell my kids all the time, don't be like me. Don't, and just because you have children, I have 7. Just because you have children doesn't mean that you can't do it. You can. But the problem is when somebody knocks you down, you got to remember that you got 2 feet, get back up. When they knock you down, get back up again. I think you know who said it best? Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington, if you listen to his story about all the different times and the things that he was told that he wouldn't be, great, and you look at him today, he's one of the best actors. But what he went through, if you just listen to what he went through, you wouldn't believe it. He said he was at the either a hair salon or the barbershop, and some old lady kept staring at him and told him, you're gonna travel the world one day. Just out of nowhere, she told him that. And I love his story. So his story, Eric Thomas' story, all of these people, I'm listening to these people and they're talking about their backstory, but they never gave up. And that's key. Never give up. I feel like I'm on a journey and I'm just getting started. And I'm not all the way there yet. I'm not all the way. I don't feel like I'm there yet. But I know how to go and tap and talk to the people that are going to push me. I know if I come and say, I got another book I want to do. I know if I'm in that next masterclass, you're going to do that book, Nafisa, and you're going to do it in 2 months. So pressure will help you move those people away from you that are not pushing you. If they're not pushing you, they're pulling you down. It's either one or the other. They're either pushing you up to be better or they're pulling you down. Just move them out the way. And lately, that's what's been happening to me. I had a sister get upset with me because I didn't want to walk when she wanted to walk. And then she told me, well, I'm not going to be bothered with you. Thank you. That's a relief. Thank you. Now I can go walk when I'm ready to walk. I had another sister tell me that I wasn't a good friend because I didn't answer the phone when she wanted me to answer the phone. I'm so thankful these people are being moved. It's like Allah's just moving them out my way and giving me the opportunity to, if you will, do me. My kids are 18 and up now, 18 to 40. It's my time. It was always my time, but I allowed things to keep me down. No, a baby should never keep you down. A job should never keep you down. And for sure, your friends should never keep you down. And if those friends are keeping you down, they're not your friends. Move them out the way.
That's right, Nafisa. And this is spoken from a woman who, as she just mentioned, she has a child who's 40 years old, and she's like, it's never too late. Don't give up. So if you're listening and you are at that point in your life and you have something you want to offer the world, do it, because the only time that we're promised is right now. So Monica, you have, you speaking to you work a lot with the millennials. You work with the next generation, and even those that are listening that may not be from the millennial generation. You speak volumes to, ownership and things like that. What last thoughts would you like to leave, for anyone who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, writing a book or something like that?
Um, Life is short, and the most important thing that we have is time. There's nothing more important than time. And we have to be in ownership of our time. Before any materials can accumulate, like, you have to be an owner of who you are on this planet, or you can just be bought and sold. People can throw money at you and you can just be bought and sold. And for me, entrepreneurship is owning my experience on this planet. It's deeper than the mansion, because all those things can be manifested, right? Like, Black folks are so powerful. If we just like own our energy, we could and create the mansions and the cars and all that. Like, that's easy. That's the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part is owning our experience and owning, why we're really here, and owning our purpose. That's the work that needs to be done, because when I think about wealth, I don't think about a whole bunch of materials. I think about being, out in nature and being in the dirt and, planting things and growing things and eating from my yard. I don't think of a Mercedes pulling up. I don't care about that. That's not wealth to me. Right. And so as we grow in spirit, I think, and we grow in purpose, our desires will change and alter. So I really want to pivot the conversation of entrepreneurship away from material things, because it really is like we're all on this spiritual path. We're just spirits in this plastic suit. And so, like, owning our experience. And that takes time to really say, like, you know what, my parents don't dictate what my experience on this planet is. My friends don't dictate. My friends, the media doesn't dictate what my experience is. The stereotypes don't dictate what my experience is. I dictate what my experience is, and that comes from just tapping in, from meditating, from prayer, from believing in a higher power, from walking on water. Because being an entrepreneur, you are walking on water. You know, a business owner is something, and I speak about that in the book. If you're a business owner, maybe you have money and you can invest it here and here and here. That's a whole different process. But if you are an entrepreneur, you are out here walking on water every single day because you don't know what the next day is going to give you. And even when you think something's going to come through and I can put my money on this, a lot of time it falls through, and then you gotta work on something else. That's the part of it, you know. And so the best entrepreneur is really rooted in who they are, rooted in, you know, valuing themselves, rooted in how they spend their time, and valuing their time and valuing their energy. And so that's just the conversation that I really want to have now. And I promise you, like, prior to taking your class and writing the book, I might not have been so honed in on it, but I think that's a part of the releasing the baggage, right? And going through the process. And when you complete a project, it leaves room for more to come and more for you to work on. And so now where I am in my life is just like really articulating how unimportant material things are. They don't matter. If you're not spending time with your family, if you're not spending time with yourself, you're not rich, you broke, you poor. You are poor if you are not
That's right.
investing in yourself and your family. And that's more important than any material. The materials will come. That's easy. Like I said, that's easy. We're magicians. We can. But the most important thing is like just how we enjoy this life. And then when we go on to the next one, you know, that'll be dictated by how we spend it here.
That's right. That's right. That's absolutely right. I mean, you ladies have left some beautiful gems. This is the way I wanted to start our Sunday, just to motivate, start the week on motivation and really looking at, so I'm speaking actually to, the audience. This is an opportunity for you to hear two different generations of women who have tapped into their greatness, tapped into, what they had to offer and contribute to the world for a higher purpose. It wasn't just about themselves, it was for something greater than themselves. And what a benefit it is to the children, a benefit that it is to adults and young adults that are coming in and picking up from the gems that they've written. And this is something that long after we're gone, I'm an author myself, long after we're gone, again, touching people that we'll never meet, touching people that we'll never see, and them still being able to benefit. And that was what's called sadaka jariyah. That's the charity that just keeps on giving, long after you're gone. So it's just a beautiful way that if you have literary work, if you're a woman that has been going through something and you've been keeping a journal, understand that that journal can be turned into a self-published book. That is your story, and there are other women out there, there are other young girls out there, there are other young people out there that are actually living that story and don't know that they're not the only one. They're feeling alone, that there's not a hope, there's not a light at the end. So those bright colors that Monica was talking about, Nafisa talking about, even now at her age, finding that light and what she can still contribute to the world. That's exactly why I had this Where Are They Now? Because this is work that just keeps on giving. This is work that, they start something and it takes you to a whole nother platform of still giving. So I want to close with just letting first, I want to thank my guests for coming today. This was the premiere of Where Are They Now? So, we're going to take this beyond the Oprah Winfrey Where Are They Now? This is the conversations with Asiya. Where are they now? We're going to have this. We're going to have another episode of past students who have come through one form or another, a Jessica Cares program or something, and just getting you to hear where they are now, what they're doing with their life, how are they empowering themselves, and how are they empowering others and those that they love, and actually, honoring the life that our creator, has given us. So this is just a beautiful way. And I just want to leave two things that I want to leave with the audience. I've had a lot of people say, I wish I could take your author's masterclass. I've had 6 weeks. 6 weeks is like too long for me. I just can't commit to that because of this. I got kids, I have a job, this and that. Well, guess what? I was listening, and we have created our 3-day conference
There
starting
you go.
November. next month, November, starting Friday evening, Saturday and Sunday, 3-day intensive authors masterclass. Everything that you would learn in a 6-week class, you're going to get it that weekend. So it's a power punch of information. Just get your notepad and everything, and we'll get you to where you want to be. You can actually get that book published. So it's a weekend. You can devote a weekend to yourself. I'm giving you a month's notice that we're having a 3-day conference so you can get that book published, get that work out there, get that empowering, information out there to those that need it. So that is what I wanted to share with you. And then we're having next week, we're having on the 24th, actually, we're having a special conversations with Asiya, speaking to our youth. We're going to have preteens and teens on here, and it's a special edition of Conversations with Asiya, talking about two particular topics that I think are just, very important to our young girls. And we need to open up the dialogue between parents and our young girls. And one of them is derived. The topic is cuties, over sexualization of our young girls. There's a movie that just came out
Mhm.
on Netflix of 11-year-old girls that are twerking, and the show is actually rated mature. And yet they have 11-year-old girls in this movie. And the majority of well, actually pretty much all of the girls on the show are girls of color. We need to address that. We need to talk about that. And because our children are inundated with social media and just media as a whole, we need to get a grip of what our children are watching and how are they defining themselves as young women. So we're going to have young girls talking about that. And then we're going to tap into the conversation of Breonna Taylor, who I think a lot of us have been extremely touched by her story, what happened to her, and the latest acquittal of those that actually murdered her. And our girls are watching this. Our young girls of color are watching this. They're seeing that girls that look like them are now becoming an endangered species almost. And this is at the hands of law enforcement. We have to address this. We have to talk to our girls. These are the things that create depression. These are the things that create anxiety. These are the things that create things that are not beneficial and don't serve us well. So as parents, we don't need to just, say this is wrong, but we need to sit down with our girls and go back to the way that it used to, the big mamas, and have these conversations with our daughters, find out how this is impacting them, how it's affecting them, and then we can take action to how we're going to assist them so that way they can live a life of purpose, a full life without fear, and without feeling like they are defined by being objective, objects of being, sexualized. So we have to have this conversation. It's a special that we're having on October 24th. So stay tuned. That's another conversation with Asia. And if you're interested in taking the 3-day conference, I'm going to be posting up later today the link for you to sign up for the 3-day conference. All right now. So we can sign up for the 3-day
I
conference.
got another
So
book in me.
you got another book here. All right now. So let's
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
So that is what we have. Again, young queens. Thank you so much for coming on another episode of Conversations with Askia, premiering our very first Where Are They Now? And it was just a beautiful story. Thank you so much, Sister
Thank
Nafisa
you for having
Muhammad. Yes, and Sister Monica Segment Grant. Thank you so much for the gems and your inspirational and motivational story that you shared with everyone today.
Thank you so much.
Can't wait for the next master class, right?
Right.
That's,
See you then.
that's right.
Inshallah.
See you then.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Trying to end the broadcast and it's saying technical difficulties. They don't want us to leave.
Always do it for themselves. They want
It's
to.
still on.
They want to write. They want to look
Yeah,
when they come to class.
they don't want us to leave. Well,
Cool.
ladies, I will let you go and
All
y'all
right.
enjoy the rest of your beautiful Sunday. Thank you
You
so
too.
much.
Thank you, Queen. I appreciate you.
Nice meeting you.